Thank you. It's good to be here. So, quick show of hands. Who here knows who Acquia is? It's better than I expected. Who here knows what Drupal is? Okay, that's more like it. So, I'm here to talk about how not to be the next 503 headline. And originally, when we were planning this talk, my marketing team started off with how to not be the next 404 headline. And I said, that doesn't really make any sense. To technical people, you don't have high load spikes and then have your site go down with 404 errors. Your site can go down with 503, server not performing, something's happening wrong in the back end. So I wanted to just talk in general about the types of things we do here at Acquia to prevent clients from failing. One of our core tenets at Acquia is we will not let you fail. And so some of this may be Drupal specific, some of it may be Acquia product specific, but just feel free to let me know with questions at the end. So everyone here at this conference knows that it's very hard to make killer websites these days. You have all sorts of stakeholders internally and externally. There's constantly changing technologies, the Node.js of the world, new versions of Drupal, new technologies on the front end, new technologies on the back end. And in addition to it being hard to make a compelling website, it's very hard to make one that's scalable, one that can go survive traffic spikes. And it's very hard to keep things running. Sometimes you have issues with your hosting provider. Sometimes you have issues with your development team deploying code when not supposed to. A lot of data centers may have a tangle of wires that looks like this picture. So really, you want to have confidence that after you build a website, it's going to keep running once you launch it. There's a number of reasons things can fail. You can lose a machine. If you're in the cloud, you can lose an entire availability zone. You could be subject to the same types of outages that the Netflixes of the world have happened. Traffic could go up. That traffic could be legitimate. It could be DOS attacks or DDoS attacks. They could go and just target certain URLs in your site that are slow. You could have one of your junior developers go and push a tag to production that actually has a certain caching feature disabled or has a development module turned on. So there's all sorts of reasons things fail. Just last week, Network Solutions had its DNS go out. And when you're a company like Acquia that hosts hundreds of thousands of websites, it's very important to know exactly what is going on with the application at any given time. And in this world of Twitter, when everyone is online watching TV shows and doing everything, the world notices when your site goes down. When Coca-Cola has their site crash, people start making fun of Coke and say, hey, maybe we should drink Pepsi instead. Coke can't even keep this website running. You might think that this won't happen to you, but the truth is it happens to everybody. It happened to the BBC. BBC had a massive outage, both for their website and for their iPlayer streaming service. It happens to Google App Engine. It happens to even Netflix itself on Christmas Eve, which is a particularly bad time to have your video streaming service go down when people just get their Roku boxes and things like that. So every single organization is subject to having outages. And this may be too soon, but it happens even to the federal government, launching key initiatives like healthcare.gov, spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get this right. And no, Drupal did not power healthcare.gov, so it's not our fault.
What is that power?
It's a custom, front-end HTML that uses a bunch of different technologies on the back end. So, where do Drupal and Acquia fit into all of this? Acquia and Drupal are closely tied at the hip. We consider ourselves a place to go where great digital experiences begin. We're built on the Drupal open source platform. We contribute a lot back to Drupal. And Drupal is really the platform that lets us move and give our clients the ability to rapidly iterate upon things and turn their visions into reality. We really see ourselves as the union between content, commerce, and community. Traditionally, Drupal has been great for publishing sites. But at its core, originally, it was built actually as a community framework powering message boards early on, back when Dries open sourced it in 1999. And then more so, people want to monetize their websites. In addition to having just ads on the site, they want to turn these into transactions. And so the great brands want to go have all three of these things happening. And Drupal is really the heart at all of this. And what Acquia does is supports the organization throughout the entire life cycle, from having the vision for a site, to building the site, to running the site, and maintaining it, and retaining their customers. One of our sample clients, a great one, is Warner Music. We run hundreds of websites for Warner Music. A lot of these may be bands A lot of them may be bands who Warner signs, and then 6 months later they're off a label. So you'd be surprised at how often a Warner Music site can go from having 10,000 page views in a given month to having 10 million page views in a given month, and Warner themselves may not know what's going on. Justin Bieber, his fan club may run steady state of, let's say, 50 million page views a month, and then he's fine with that. But David Bowie may announce his first new album in 10 years, and that just causes a massive amount of traffic to the website when he tweets about it. Someone does that, direct links there. So really, we help organizations like Warner execute upon their digital strategy. We give them the tools not just to build their websites, make it easy for their teams to focus on developing. We give them the elastic scalability so that no matter what site spikes, they can be confident that's going to handle the traffic. In general, we believe that brands need a comprehensive digital lifecycle management suite. This is in addition to the application lifecycle management that a company like New Relic is great at. And New Relic is a key partner of ours. We love them and all their tools. And probably about half of our customers also use New Relic. So it really is the full spectrum here, going from planning and implementing your site to testing it and then launching it in production and nurturing it as it grows. And we give our customers solutions for all of these things. We have a lot of great customers. These range across a number of different verticals. A lot of these brands you may know of. They're the the BBCs of the world, the NBCs of the world. A lot of the best higher ed institutions in the country or globally use Drupal. And also big in high tech, financial services. So it's not just media and entertainment companies across the spectrum. There's great people using Drupal. In fact, even the White House actually gives back to Drupal on GitHub. You can go to github.com/whitehouse and see what they're doing with Drupal. Running sites like petitions.gov, where you can petition the government to build a Death Star. All those things are powered by Drupal. So Acquia's mission, as I mentioned, is we won't let you fail. Whatever it takes, we won't let you fail. And that requires, unfortunately, a lot of work up front in making sure a site is successful when it comes down to Acquia. So what does it take to develop and deploy and maintain great Drupal sites? High quality code and config. Drupal itself does a great job of making sure that the code is good, but one of Drupal's greatest strengths and weaknesses is there's about 20,000 user contributed modules, and you never know which of those modules you may need. A site may run 500 of them, they may run 10 of them. These may be terrifically maintained modules, or they may be a really edge case. A site needs to have consistent testing to ensure performance. You need to be able to maintain the site. You can't just launch a site and expect it to last forever without any changes. The site needs to have burstable traffic. We live in the world of flash mobs and Twitters and all these things, and some people may have spikes due to media coverage. Other people may just get mentioned in the local newspaper, but have to have burstable, resilient resources. Unfortunately, the cloud helps with these things. And above all, it has to be easy. Your team should be able to go and work on what they do best. And hopefully that is building sites or marketing sites and working with their key brands. So how do we make sure that these sites, in a lot of cases, we don't control these sites. We're not the ones writing this Drupal code. We give the tools to the customers, but at the end of the day, they can shoot themselves in the foot. So how do we make sure that it's a high application when we want to go and support it? In a lot of cases, we have about a 4-week onboarding cycle where a client signs a deal with us and they bring themselves on board. The contract gets signed, they give us the initial data, we talk about the migration plan, and then we get in the phase of how are we going to audit this site? We want to do all these different things. We go through a pre-launch phase, which may include load test. And then we launch it, and then we nurture it. It's live. We want to see exactly how it works in real-world traffic. This onboarding has a comprehensive audit step, so we're checking, how is their performance? How is their SEO? Are they following great security practices? Are they following great software development practices? We work with a large spectrum of clients, from the smallest organizations to some of the largest companies in the world, and it really varies based upon their talent. If they built it in-house, did they outsource it? Did they send it to a high-quality agency, and did they get the agency's A team or get their C team in terms of what is overall quality here? We also do professional service audits. We will check to see, is your code performant? Is it secure? Do you pay attention to the OWASP best security practices? Are you scanning for all these things? And then in a lot of cases, we don't host these websites. We also help people wherever they host their Drupal site, do an infrastructure audit, make sure they can do all these things. And we've built tools to help ourselves with this because we have so many customers. We can't guarantee that all of our internal teams are following all the best practices themselves unless we build tools to automate this. So we have technology called Insight, which will go scan your site, say, okay, you are running this development module actually in production. Okay, you have Memcache running in dev, but you have it turned off in your staging environment. You want to make sure that staging matches production. So we will go score their application on all sorts of different metrics, ranging from performance to SEO to security, give them this report card and actually show them how this changes over time. So this tool works whether you host on Acquia's cloud, whether you're running your own data center, and it actually works throughout the life cycle of your site development. So if you have a new project, you're kicking it off, you can run the tool, and hopefully your development team will use the knowledge they see here to go improve their site score as it goes from a C to a B to an A, and stay in that golden range where it's all working. And this, of course, also helps you as Drupal core gets updated, Drupal other modules get updated. It'll report on you are missing these key features, or all this different stuff is happening and you're falling behind because you haven't had your developers touch the site in 6 months. These audits cover all sorts of different use cases, making sure that you have responsive design, making sure you have all the proper meta tags on your page. There's all sorts of these different checks going into this, and our team produces comprehensive audits and reports to help people as they onboard with us. And once they follow these reports, then we always recommend that they do load tests. We have partnerships with Blitz, BlazeMeter. Obviously, New Relic is a key partner of ours. So as they're doing these load tests, we recommend that they log into their New Relic dashboard and go see, okay, these are the slow-hanging queries. These are Drupal has a module called Views, which lets people do some crazy things like making a 12-way left join just by clicking a few checkboxes in the interface. So New Relic really helps them understand exactly what's going on with their Drupal application and continue to optimize it, especially under load. But sometimes people don't have the time to go follow everything, and we really have to dive in and help them. A great example of this was the New York MTA. MTA was a client of ours, and then I was actually in New York visiting other clients the Friday before Hurricane Sandy. And the MTA did a load test, and the load test failed. And this was one of the most probably interesting meetings of my life, because I walked in there, and their essentially chief digital officer said, if we don't get this website launched and scaled and fixed over the weekend, people will die on Monday due to this hurricane that's coming in. So you can imagine that being a little bit awkward. It's not just the pressure of your Coca-Cola website staying up, but the service the public depends on for public safety, knowing which subway stations are flooded, all these things. So we really help them. We use all the tools here and make sure that they can be successful come Monday and keep this critical piece of their infrastructure up and running. And wouldn't you know it, the things they did not host in the cloud actually went down. So they lost multiple data centers, and they also did not follow great practices. They were running their data centers both in Manhattan, and they both were flooded. And so there's reasons you want to think about doing things across multiple regions. But when you're in the cloud, it's much easier to do these things. So once your site is up and live, how do you want to make sure that you keep deploying changes to it and not break things? And a lot of this is what it takes to make deployment a core competency of your organization. A lot of organizations preach that they're great at continuous integration or deployment, but you'd be surprised the number of times that just touching something in production or deploying new code will take down websites. If you go to Wikipedia, you can learn a lot about the principles of continuous integration and the best practices here. Using version control, that's obvious to a lot of us here, but let's say 5 years ago it wasn't. Being able to test everything, all the features you build. Making sure that your staging environment is a clone or as a mimic as possible of your production environment. Making sure that every single version you do, in a branch or a tag is easily accessible and auditable, knowing who made a change, who pushed a change to production, being able to automate all of this, then being able to use tools like New Relic to go measure things in production, and obviously being able to iterate rapidly. You want to have agility as you develop websites. You don't want all of this to slow you down from accomplishing the missions of your organization. So, in a lot of ways, you have 2 ways you can get here. You can do all this yourself, or you can use someone else's platform. And since I work for Acquia, let's talk about what I do. I run the cloud team at Acquia. My team is essentially the DevOps team. We're building this underlying infrastructure. A lot of works we're doing, you have to build yourself version control. You have to have Jenkins do continuous integration. You have to be able to deploy when there's new commits. You have to be able to test these deployments. You have to manage servers and security fixes and hot fixes, all these things. You have to be able to run multiple websites on servers because customers don't want to be able to, or to pay for one server every time that they want to run multiple domains on their site. They have to be able to have high security SSH keys and credentials and have a highly available LAMP stack. In our case, we're a PHP company, but on the back end, we're also running Ruby and we're running Java and we're running Cassandra and all these different things. You have to make sure that not only do you have highly available environments, but you're backing up your databases, and not just backing them up, but being able to follow a restoration process, because a backup is useless if it's corrupt and you can't actually restore it when it's necessary. And then again, you have to also have monitoring and hopefully a team that can go respond to that. That's not you at 3 in the morning. So you don't want this job. DevOps is a tough job. A lot of people here are DevOps people, and it's complicated and constantly changing. But if this stuff does interest you, then I probably have a job for you. So option 2 is use someone else's platform. There's a lot of great platforms out there. There's the Heroku's of the world, the engine yards. And there's Acquia. We focus on Drupal. If you're looking for a polyglot, recommend someone else. But Acquia Cloud is optimized for Drupal. We've been doing this for about 5 years now. We focus very much on Drupal, and it keeps us very busy. We're 100% based on Amazon. We run about 6,500 instances on Amazon, so we're one of Amazon's largest clients and partners. Very much focused on not just the average developer experience, but also high availability, security, and compliance. We run some of the most secure, highly trafficked websites on the planet, and we're actually live in 5 Amazon regions now. So everything from US East and West to Sydney and Tokyo and Ireland, all these different regions. So what do we do a lot? We do a lot of automation and testing. One of the principal responsibilities of my team is making sure that they are the ones that test the platform. So every time they change a line of code, they have a test. We run a massive suite of systems jobs that keep everything running. We use Puppet for configuration management. We were doing a lot of this before there was great Chef recipes and things like that. But in general, recommend using Chef or Puppet or Ansible or anything. Then we have that robust testing framework, doing a lot of the same things that people like Netflix do. We spin up web server clusters and database clusters and simulate Amazon availability zones going down, making sure that no matter any time we add a feature or there's instability in the cloud, that we can keep our clients running and highly available. In order to offer a platform as a service like this, we have a whole bunch of different kind of classifications of servers and Puppet. So we have our command and control servers, similar to Amazon's control planes. That's our API that all of our customers talk to, our internal systems talk to. It keeps everything running. We're a hosting company, so we have load balancer servers. We have web nodes running, not just PHP, but as I mentioned, running Ruby apps. Database servers. We're principally a MySQL company, but we also run Cassandra and things like that on the back end. A file system. One of Drupal's weaknesses is it really wants a persistent file system. It can store things in S3. There's great models for that, but a lot of people pretend that they want a POSIX file system underneath it, and unfortunately there's not a great option for having a file system in the cloud, because NFS is unreliable, or you can't attach a single Amazon volume to multiple servers. Since we have 6,000 plus servers, we have to have great centralized logging, statistics, monitoring, make sure that we can scale our our servers and our clients without doubling our operations team all the time. And then, because we do offer all these enterprise features, we want to make sure that all the data is backed up. People can go restore their backups, and we never lose anything. I mentioned all of our system testing. So this is testing our configuration management system, our version control system, load balancing, the entire security infrastructure, making sure that one customer can't talk to another customer's servers, making sure that they follow best practices where their dev web node can't talk to the production MySQL database. All these things, we have hundreds and hundreds of tests, and really kind of forces our team to follow rigorous practices and make sure that when we add a new feature like PHP 5.5, we're not breaking all the websites running PHP 5.3. So there's a lot of rigor involved in making sure this just works flawlessly. But what does all this enable? What's the benefit our clients see from this? And really, this is deployments that just work. Clients can stop fighting fires. They can stop, being woken up in the middle of the night. They can just focus on building the best Drupal site and deploying it, and enables, drag and drop code. We let people just, copy their code from dev to stage and stage to prod. We prevent them from going directly from dev to prod. They can drag and drop their files, and really, it's simple. It's a user interface they can use. They can also do the same thing from our APIs if they want to go, directly embed things in their Jenkins jobs. But in general, we take care of all the hard work behind the scenes, so they don't have to spend time or waste all their time, because their core competency should be delivering results to their organization. But how do we keep the sites up once they're actually live? we're very much architected for high availability and resiliency across the board. So being able to have multiple balancers behind an Amazon Elastic Load Balancer, having everything in multiple AZs from the beginning, making sure that the web nodes and the file system nodes and the database nodes are in multiple regions. So no single point of failures here. We have a massive system we call Nagios as a service, and Nagios as a service is monitoring all of our servers, monitoring all of our services on those servers. And also they monitor other monitor servers. So they're not just buddies, but they monitor servers in other zones, and they're not just in Amazon, they're also in Rackspace monitoring our Amazon monitoring servers. So very much, building this resilient infrastructure that all of our customers can benefit from. And as I mentioned, not just backing up data, but also, testing these backups. One key aspect that we do is we're offering not just an SLA for the power pipe and ping that a hosting company may do. We give customers an SLA on their application. This is why we have the very rigorous checks up front before someone becomes a customer of ours, or during that initial process, because when anything breaks, we will hop in the line and help do it. We'll keep the website running. It may be something we have to fix in the Drupal layer. We may have to bring in the experts from our Drupal team, or we may have to throw hardware at it. But we will make sure they don't go down and offer a high SLA about that. And that means very robust caching. It means great expertise, and it means we stay on top of all security updates. Now, how do you ensure success under high load? This is burstable, resilient resources, and this is one of the key benefits of architecting a platform on the cloud these days. And also, customers want to make sure that they can scale up and down. Some customers have great seasonality in their traffic. We have some customers that have massive load during the school year because they're offering education as a service. But then they die down in the summer. Other customers may be like the Grammys. The Grammys have one day of the year where their traffic spikes, let's say 5,000%. They'll do 460 million hits to Grammy.com on the night of the award show, and then a week later they're doing 1 million hits, or less than that. But this is a great example of where the elasticity of the cloud really comes into play. And our organization helps them not just with scaling their servers, but also making sure their CDN configurations are working, making sure that they can continue to push updates to their website during the event, because people going there want to have the access to the latest photos from the red carpet and all these different things. And in general, I have one recommendation, and that is, don't go alone. There's a lot of great companies out there helping organizations. So there's the New Relics of the world. There's the Fastly's and the Akamai's of the world. There's SendGrid for email. There's no reason you have to do all this yourself. If you want to go build apps in Ruby, go host them on Heroku. If you want to do Drupal, use Acquia. But don't do everything yourself, because really you should focus on delivering results to your stakeholders. And I'm open for questions. Yes.
Sort of maybe a weird question. Is there some diagram that you guys maintain internally that shows your whole network infrastructure?
The entire network infrastructure?
Who keeps that in their brain, or how do you guys keep that? Seems quite large.
So we've mapped out individual clients, let's say like an NBC of the world, who itself we're running dozens of properties for. Some of these properties may be running on 20 servers, some may be running on 50 servers. So we've mapped that out. I don't think we've actually done a full mapping of all the different servers and how the traffic flows between them. It gets a little complicated when you're running thousands and thousands of nodes. But in general, one of our tenets is, everything is API first. We automate everything, so we don't, have to keep all these things. We make sure that we have, rigorous policies for our Amazon security groups, and we keep everything secure, and we test all of that to make sure we have no issues. But we don't, have an operations team that manually goes and changes firewall rules on a server. It's all automated. Yes?
I was just wondering how, because I've used Pantheon before,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how Acquia's cloud service compares to Pantheon.
Sure. So Pantheon and Acquia are both in the business of supporting Drupal customers. I believe they may host in Rackspace or somewhere else, but in general, it's a lot of the same fundamental technologies about the LAMP stack, about how we both have varnish cache in front of everything. We both, I believe, use Apache. They may use Nginx. We also use Nginx for load balancing. They do a lot of work with containers instead of using pure VMs to go and host all the infrastructure. They have a different approach to persistent file system. But in general, we use a lot of the same technologies, and we're in a lot of the same reasons we're in business. We're all in here to kind of evangelize Drupal and make sure organizations succeed at Drupal. Yes.
What are the most frequent pitfalls you see for when spikes occur?
So frequent pitfalls when there's issues. So most of the time when actually most issues we see in production are clients shooting themselves in the foot. So they are pushing code without checking things. That's why we have all these tools built in. They are running all these development features in production. When traffic spike occurs, one reason we have a 24/7 operations team and don't automate everything is because every situation is unique. Some customers may all of a sudden start running video encoding jobs with FFmpeg and having a cron that does hundreds of these at the same time and hammering their CPUs. Other customers may have legitimate traffic flowing inbound, and so you never know when we need to go double the number of memcache nodes or throw an extra load balancer at the problem. And so we have our operations team use all this internal data and insight and then go and apply human intelligence to go choose to scale a certain layer of the stack. Get a question?
What is that sort of, what are they monitoring exactly? Is there some, like, command center? Or what?
So we have a virtual NOC. In general, we're all based in Boston, but we hire the best Drupalists from all over the globe. So we have Drupalists from Dallas to Siberia, but we essentially can operate entirely virtually. Our Nagios as a service is monitoring 100+ metrics. The standard ones like is Apache up or down, is the load average above the number of cores in the machine. All these different things. They're monitoring that. In addition, we have custom heartbeat services that go and reach into your Drupal application. They know, for instance, when Network Solutions went down, they know that not only did the website drop off the face of the internet, but it's the DNS layer that's dying. And so we don't want to go, flood our operations team with tickets when it's actually an external DNS provider. We want to be able to communicate to clients why their site is down and what our recommendations are. But we don't want to go, flood them or flood anyone with inactive alerts. And so we also know if the Drupal site's in maintenance mode. Drupal has the ability to go take the site down temporarily when they're doing massive schema updates or deployments. And so we know these different things. And so we really optimize for Drupal, but using a lot of the same kind of best practices on the back end to go empower our team and our clients. Yes.
Do you guys make use of VPCs that through Amazon's cloud services at all, to be able to hook into something in a more secure manner? That's something that maybe needs to be an actual physical server.
Yep. So we do have clients running in VPC. We were actually running all of our infrastructure before VPC existed, and so we're in the process of what we may call the great migration, moving everyone into VPC and enabling a lot of advanced features like intranet-style, high-security hosting, different things like that. That's one of our key goals for 2014.
But do you have hybrid demand as well from your customers in terms of just you do everything in the cloud today?
Everything's in the cloud today. We do get a lot of requests for customers that may have other servers in VPC, or maybe they have servers in Equinix. They want to have super low latency connections between their Drupal site and their internal site. We do offer them the ability right now to do VPN connections, for instance, with single sign-on if they want to talk with their LDAP server, different things like that. But we're seeing more and more kind of custom, complicated networking requirements from clients. Yes. We are not yet as advanced as Amazon is with Chaos Monkey and Gorilla and Kong. Our system tests do go and simulate an AZ going down and all these different things. We haven't yet done any of these in production. In general, there's always enough incidents with providers in production that we simulate these things. Anybody else? Okay. I'd recommend going to acquia.com/free. You can go actually try out all of our capabilities. This includes our cloud hosting. It includes our workflow tools. It's essentially everything you get with an enterprise version of Acquia Cloud, except you can't have your own domain name on it. Thank you.